garage showing off her artwork for the first time. Yeah. And you'll go inside and meet her and see her there. And so that's one example of the type of thing that you might see there. But we also have ones that are just there to kind of flesh out the world a little bit and give you just a sense for what kind of space you're in. So you might build a coffee shop and grab a cup of coffee.
I love coffee. You know, actually, when I was watching the gameplay video of this, at some point, I saw a skateboard.
Yeah.
And our chat here on Twitch loves skateboarding.
Right.
I don't know if they actually like skateboarding more so just skate.
Yeah, just skate. My question is, do you get to eventually skateboard around in your puzzle game?
There's no skateboarding, unfortunately, in our game.
Okay.
But one of the main characters in the game is an avid skateboarder, so we see a lot of it.
That's close enough.
Yeah, right?
There you go, chat. You got what you want.
Yeah.
So is there only one way to really solve these kind of puzzles, or is there some variety in the completion of them?
Yeah, so all of the puzzles feel pretty different from each other. So the ones that we're seeing here are the early ones that are just kind of teaching you the core concepts for the game. But a lot of them have to do with, like, some of them are very large, where you're building like skyscrapers and such, but there's other ones that, I think the hardest puzzles in the game are the ones that are actually the smallest, because they're giving you the least amount of things to work with, so you really have to see, like, many steps ahead, yeah.
Are you not allowed to? Oh, I'm sorry, please.
Oh, I was gonna mention that I saw you have no loading between
right.
each puzzle area.
That's right,
And
yeah.
this is across different platforms. How's that work?
Well, our lead engineer, Brandon Sword, created this amazing streaming system where the whole game is just completely continuous. So as you're going throughout the game, we never break for a loading screen or a pause menu or anything like that. It's just
How does saving work then?
It happens behind the scenes, but it's pretty obvious too, because it's still, like, every time we pull out the camera, that's like a transition into another puzzle. So you'll know, like, okay, if I stop here,
That's what I was worried about. Okay, yeah.
So tell me a little bit about the decision of that then. Why would you have it be so seamless?
It was really because this game takes place over the course of a series of memories. We really wanted the game to feel a little bit, well, dreamlike. Because I think memories and dreams feel pretty similar to each other. And when the whole game is continuous and we're never breaking for anything, then it kind of gives you that just like stream of consciousness vibe that dreams and memories often have.
So I'm looking at the cards that we see right here, and the one set of puzzles that we've seen, or the cards, is that it creates a 3x3 essentially.
Right.
Is there some variety that I could change it to a 4x4 if I wanted to?
Yeah, in fact, you can build them as large as the space allows you to. So we're seeing here that it's going to get even bigger.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, and that'll allow
It's like
the
they heard
player
you.
to keep going.
I'll show you how many you can do.
But it's always a square.
Just the early parts of the game have squares, but we have different types of structures later on. So we're introducing you to the mechanics of the most basic type of card structure that we could give you, which is a square. But later on, you'll see houses that have these sloped roofs, and those let you get higher, not just across. And the skyscrapers, they're very interesting because when wind comes into play, it peels off different pieces of the story. So a structure that starts off as 3 stories tall can become 1 story tall based on where you build it.
You say so casually, like it's the worst thing that could possibly happen to you. You're like, ah, man, that sucks.
It can help you too. It's bad and good. It depends on whatever the context of the puzzle is.
So this is one of the more difficult puzzles that we've seen for the first time, where you have to control 2 of them to allow it, and you can increase the height of it?
No, the height stays the same for these ones, but there are structures later that have variable height.
Cool.
Yeah.
When you're doing these puzzles, if you haven't played for a while, you take that break and you go do something else, shower maybe, and then you come back to play the game after several weeks. Can you backtrack if you forget how a certain puzzle mechanic works, go back to a previous puzzle you really enjoyed and do it all over again?
Yeah, absolutely. We'll have a level select to allow you to go back and forth. But we have some really cool tricks for even like our menus and our level selects that we still don't really break the continuous take. So we'll fly up into the sky and like never like have a full cut.
That's really cool.
Yeah, it's pretty neat.
Really cool.
How many levels are there?
There's over 80 puzzles in this game. So it's a pretty lengthy game. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff to explore.
And when you say a puzzle, you mean like each of these, or like a whole map?
Like one of these.
Okay.
But there's a lot of transition sections between these puzzles that use the cards in different ways. Some of them are more focused just on our narrative moments. Like we have this really great school dance that uses the cards in a really interesting way. And it's not really a puzzle, it's just kind of a cool narrative vignette in a way.
Well, let's talk about the narrative then. Tell me about this character that we're learning his life story.
Yeah. Actually, we designed the character to be gender ambiguous, so it's not necessarily a he. It depends on what our players decide. But the story itself, it starts off, and this is a park where our main character like to come and sketch during their teenage years. And later on, we take you to the suburbs where they spend their high school years. And after that, we'll go after college into the place where they move to, into the cities. So I don't want to give too much away as far as like what occupation they choose and everything, but But it really explores this person's life in pretty great detail.
And since it is a narrative-focused game and it is a puzzle game, I'm curious if there are certain side puzzles that you can kind of do. Like you follow maybe a path that tells you go this way, do this puzzle, but are there like secondary paths that can kind of add on and give you a story you otherwise may not have
absolutely.
experienced?
We've got a lot of hidden puzzles in the game because we found when we were designing the puzzles that we want this game to be accessible and approachable to a lot of different people. But this game can also be really hard if we want it to be. Like these mechanics are pretty deep. Even though they're very simple to control, they allow you to make puzzles that are just incredibly challenging and interesting. So for the players that will really enjoy that, we've tucked away a bunch of hidden puzzles.
That's great news.
Yeah.
Tell me a little bit about the art direction here. It's very beautiful, very cartoony, and I can
you.
see these little like wisps kind of like moving around and everything. What's the direction for that?
Yeah, so our art director, Josh Harvey, actually came from the motion graphics industry. So
Oh.
he's bringing a really unique, different type of style to this game that we don't usually see in video games. But I think what you're commenting on is the fixed width line, which is kind of one of the hallmarks of the Where Cards Fall art style, where
Yeah.
all of the lines have like this very singular width to give it this sort of like drawn-on feel.
Oh, well, that, and then there's also these white little wisps that kind of like follow around.
Oh, those are actually, they're supposed to be insects. Yeah, so
Okay,
we use
cool.
these as little as possible to